Oh, nobody told me I was muted. Well, that certainly changes things. I guess it's a good thing that nobody is really hanging out yet because the notification just went out. So I'm not muted anymore. I'm live. Hello. Happy Friday, everyone. We made it. It's another Friday. I can almost not believe it myself. But yeah, we'll give everybody a few minutes to get in here and then get started. I got, as the title says, some interesting new things to show off this week, some new Apple items, etc. We'll talk about Ubiquiti stuff, new UNVR announcements there. Make sure that I'm live on X. I think I am. Let's double check. Yep, live over on X. Awesome. Cool. Okay, let's give another couple minutes. I get some more interesting music to play. I've used all these too much. Chat front and center so I can see if anybody is hanging out and chatting over there. Feel free. All right, let's fade that out and stop playing the music over there and let's get started. First things first, I got a new book. I'm excited to read this. This is Rocket Dreams by Christian Davenport. Christian Davenport, who, if you don't know, has been around the space industry for a very long time. Staff writer at the Washington Post for more than 25 years, most recently covering NASA, the space industry. He has another book that I read called The Space Barons. So, recommended by Walter Isaacson, Eric Berger, who is also another incredible space author, if you're not familiar with him, and a bunch of others. But this is essentially Rocket Dreams, Musk, Bezos, and the inside story of the new $1 trillion spacecraft. I always love reading these books because they, if you get them from the right people, they are incredibly well researched, and they have interviews where they go and talk to a lot of the folks who were in the early days of building these programs, and you get a ton of behind the scenes access and information and thoughts and ideas and whatnot. And that's pretty cool. So I want to show that off because I always enjoy when I get new books, and I am looking forward to that one. All right, let's do a little intro. I guess I should have done that before I did this. If you're new here, welcome. My channel is tabGeeks. My name is Jesse Nolan. I'm your host, and I generally cover things that are business, enterprise, prosumer, technology. You find that sometimes technology tends to blend or go both ways in any direction, where you can use them professionally, you can use them at home, use them in a home lab, which is kind of like prosumer, kind of like professional. Some of us work from home. So I'm kind of just wrapping it all together and the things that I find interesting, and hopefully you do as well. We have a couple of things to talk about today. I have the brand new iPhone 17 Pro Max, complete with the new camera bump, the chin, or what Apple is calling the plateau. And I have one very, very important thing to show. Okay, Apple, you had an opportunity. You changed the design of the bump. And for the audio listeners that can't see what I'm doing here, I have my iPhone with no case on, laid down flat on the desk. And while it is better, it still wobbles. What the hell, Apple? Why? Why would you literally extended the thing to be the width of the phone? And yes, I understand you have the camera bump and it doesn't wobble in the other direction, but it wobbles. You put it on the counter and it wobbles. All right, that's just a massive gripe that I and many other caseless folks, caseless warriors, complain about because you had your chance. You had the opportunity to design this in a way that would fix the wobble. I don't care. Put a little notch over here that just gives it the ability to. I put it down flat and it doesn't wobble. Now, granted, it's improved. It's much better. Mad credit. I give you serious credit, Apple. This is a beautiful phone. But you had one job to do, and that was fixing the damn wobble. Just for uh, comparison's sake, here's my current iPhone 16 Pro Max, and that wobbles. And then this one, oh my god, it's not even better. They're wobbling. Okay, it's less of a wobble. It's certainly less of a wobble, but it's still wobbling. What the hell? Come on, Apple. For comparison, there's the backs side by side. Obviously, the black one is with the less of a camera bar, what they're calling the plateau, is the 16, and then the blue one is the 17. Both Pro Max models, both 256 gig. I shout out to the Apple business team. That's how I got this right now. Is I emailed them on the day that Apple had their event, and I said, okay, as is every year, I'm trading in my phone, and I want the new whatever number it is, Pro Max baseline storage because 256 is plenty for me, especially because I have a really cool Corsair SSD, solid state hard drive, that I just plug into the bottom of the phone and it's MagSafe. So it attaches to the back of the phone and I can offload video or photos or whatever, files are taking up a tremendous amount of space on my phone and free up space. And 256 gig really is plenty for the majority of use cases. Now, if you are using this in a more professional capacity where you are recording video directly to this, then you probably have a dedicated phone and it's probably still enough because you're doing it in short bursts and you are not using this as a regular phone and filling up your space full of, you know, whatever Facebook or X or whatever apps use up a tremendous amount of storage on your phone. So I really think that is plenty. Why do I upgrade my phone every year? I wanted to address this and cover this because I've gotten, some people are like, oh, you shouldn't do it every year. And I haven't done that. I did not upgrade my watch, and I'll get into why if I remember. But essentially, for me, there's a couple of things that are important. One, I use my phone more than any other device that I have. It is constantly with me, except for the Sabbath when I put it down and don't touch it for 25 hours. It is it's connected to everything I do. It's kind of like a lifeline into all of my services, everything that I have control over, tracking things, keeping in touch with family. All of it happens through the phone. And so for me, that was like I want to have the best and the fastest and the bestest and the fastest phone out there every year. Also, I am a amateur photographer, semi-pro-ish photographer. I've done some photography contract work in the past, and so having a good camera is important to me. And in the past, I would carry a DSLR with me around with a lens, and that gets heavy and bulky and annoying. And I made the decision a couple of years ago that similar to the saying, the best camera is the one that you have with you. I always have my iPhone with me, and I love taking pictures and videos of my kids and my family. We have a lot of cousins in the area. I'm kind of like the unofficial family photographer, videographer, archivist, etc. And the best way that I can do that is by always having an incredible camera with me. And so that's two things that are very important to me. And so therefore, I made the decision to do basically the iPhone upgrade program, get a new phone every year. And look, we will reach a plateau, no pun intended. We will reach a point in which this is no longer necessary, in which the cameras on here are so freaking good that you don't need to upgrade for the cameras. Now, at that point, we'll probably be upgrading for other features like, glasses connectivity or something else, which we can get into talking about Meta in a little bit. I actually didn't put that in the title. I should have, because that's another big one that I'm really interested in this week. But essentially, we got to a point with the phones where the screens were no longer that big of a deal. It used to be it was like going from a 720p, a low quality screen to a higher definition screen. Then HD was 1080. It was like, oh, that was a big deal. And then it finally got to the point that, well, Apple and their marketing genius just stopped naming or telling people what the resolutions were, because they came up with, okay, well, we're just going to talk about how much pixel density there is. And obviously they named them very interesting things, but the fact is it was at that point or shortly thereafter that it mattered so much less, because unless you're pixel peeping and looking really, really close and comparing screens side by side, you're not really going to notice. And the screens on even the entry level iPhone are fantastic. And I think that we'll get there with cameras right now. One of the big updates to, I believe it's the entire iPhone lineup actually, is all three cameras, or all the cameras on all the phones, the back facing ones anyway, are 48 megapixels. In the iPhone 16, even the Pro Max, the 5x zoom lens was 24, or yeah, the telephoto was, I think, 12 megapixels because it was cropped in. And you are still having that if you engage with the 8x zoom on here, because Apple likes to say, oh, you have 8 or 10 or 12 or different, cameras on your phone, when it's really just three different lenses being treated differently and cropping in and whatnot. And the way that they did that in the past is the same that they do it now, where they crop in on the shot to be able to give you that zoom level. In my testing today, I am happy to say that 8x zoomed in on the iPhone 17 Pro Max looks better than 5x zoomed in on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. So huge upgrade there. But that's, to my point, the reason why I upgrade every year. Also, it's kind of like my thing, I really love always having the fastest and greatest phone. Also, I do a lot of work from the road, so having really fast connectivity speeds is important. And this phone definitely really increases on all of those. So far, I'm very happy with the phone. I obviously haven't used it very much. I only picked it up like 2 hours ago. Filmed a bunch of B-roll in the store. I can actually. I have to join this to my Wi-Fi, but I could probably show some of these off by sharing my screen. Um, Basically, it takes really, really good pictures, takes really good video, and overall, it's an iPhone. It's the software is the same. I've been testing iOS 26 for, I don't know, 3 months now, and or 2 months now, and it handles better on the 17. I'll definitely admit to that, and um, it certainly feels a little bit faster. The feel in the hand is more refined. I like it much better than the sharper feel of the 16 Pro Max. But the software is pretty much the same. The big changes is you've got the plateau, you have which is the camera bump. Again, you have the 48 megapixel lens, and then on the front you have the selfie camera. And the selfie camera is really interesting because what it does is it now has a square sensor, and the selfie camera is the front-facing camera that looks at your face. And let me see if I have the resolution of that camera. I think it's, well, I guess I can just take the picture and pull it off of there. Trying to see if my notes. It's an 18 megapixel front facing camera. And the reason why that's important is because, well, as Apple said in their keynote, there were 500 billion million, 500 billion selfies taken last year. Some obscene, insane, crazy number. But what you're able to do with this one now is that, and I don't know how well I can show this. Let's see. You see, looking at, well, you can see the camera, but essentially what you can do is you can, just like before, where you can have it zoom in and out to give you a little bit more space on there to fit more people in there. It has center stage, so it will actually, if you turn it on, zoom into where your face is and then track so that you are relatively centered. But the thing that's important here is you can now go rectangular so that you can take a selfie as if you were doing it this way, as if you were turning the phone to its side. You can take a selfie holding it in portrait mode, holding it up and down as opposed to wide, on its side. And this is a huge, huge step, because for a lot of people, they always ask me to take selfies when we're in a crowd, because I'm a big guy, I'm basically 6 feet, and I've got really long arms. And so therefore I can get out and, I can take the picture. Um, With this, it's going to be a little bit easier because you're going to be able to fit in a lot more of that group shot with much shorter arms or from a shorter distance. So that I've seen folks talking about is already pretty appreciated, and people are interested in that. And I'm excited to see how that's going to change where and how selfies are portrayed online, right? Because Instagram kind of brought us the square, and then as the larger iPhones became more popular, then you got the the top bottom like the selfie, the classic selfie look and picture. Um, Now that you're going to be able to have selfies that are landscape, and they're going to be a lot more popular because they're going to um, automatically switch when it senses that there's a group of people there. I think that it's going to be interesting to see how platforms like Instagram and the other social media networks respond to this, because you're about to have a whole hell of a lot of people taking pictures that way. So those are my thoughts pretty much on this phone. In the hand, it's really good. The back is not as slippery as the other one. The back is like a ceramic instead of a what do you call it? Instead of glass. I felt that this was always very slippery. The back was always very slippery on the 16 Pro Max. It is still slippery. It's just not quite as slippery. They both feel good in the hand, so it's hard to say, one is better than the other. The 16 Pro Max feels better on the sides because it's less, and you can see here on the camera. Whoops, they're trying to send my contact information to myself. Um, but the 16 Pro Max has very sharp edges and corners, as opposed to the 17 Pro Max, which has curved on all sides. And they go back and forth on this every couple of years as they change the different technologies that they're using to machine this, to mill this metal. Also, as they change which metal from titanium to aluminum, and it's a design choice as much as it might be a actual physics and machine choice. I happen to like the one that's a little bit smoother, just because it doesn't like cut into your, not cut literally, but point into your hand or poke into your hand as much. So that's nice. Um, some of the other things that I wanted to talk about on here. Let me consult my notes. Design factor, we got the camera plateau. I can't even say that word. Good job, Apple. All right, they have this crazy new cooling thing in here. They have what's called a vapor chamber in the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and what the vapor chamber does is it actually runs the length of the lower, I guess, two-thirds of the iPhone, and it's actually a small, teeny tiny chamber that has a drop of water in it. And what it does is, as the phone heats up, the water evaporates, it moves down to the other side of the vapor chamber, cools down, and turns back into water. Now, you can't feel it. It's not that kind of water in there. But as far as I understand it, that's how it works. And it does two things. One, greatly improves cooling capabilities. And two, it also moves the area of where the heat is around the phone to better dissipate the heat. And because it is an all metal phone, to then create essentially like a heat sink of the back of the phone to then push away the heat and to cool it better and faster. Now, if this is sitting outside in the sun and you're trying to record on it, I don't know how much that's going to compensate for it. We'll have to see in further testing. Um, I have had my iPhone 16 on the regular. If I'm outside and I'm doing a lot of videos or I'm doing a lot of taking pictures, the screen will dim significantly to the point where it's almost practically useless. And the hope is, or what I'm hearing is, that with the 17 Pro Max, that is less likely to be the case. We shall see. Um, you have, of course, also enhanced durability. They say this every year, but it also does get better every year. And last year was the first year that I really went caseless on the phone. And I mean, yes, I have Apple Care insurance on it, and I did have to replace the back on my iPhone. It cost me $30 on top of the Apple Care, but at least it didn't cost me, $200 or $300. And I enjoyed going caseless because I keep it in my pocket, and I like having a thin phone, which is ironic because I buy the thickest iPhone that they make, but I also like it to be as thin as that can be, that balance of power and all of that. Obviously, the new iPhone Air is a whole different beast, and we can talk about that a bit. I have a couple of thoughts on that I'll share shortly, but overall, last year's phone, the 16 Pro. Trying to keep all of the names straight. It's hard. Last year's phone, the 16 Pro Max, it did get scratches on the screen from, I don't even know what, because I don't keep it in my pocket with my keys. So I guess either my flashlight, which is in my pocket on, clipped on the side, or just everyday use. There are some scratches on the screen. The back, as I mentioned, did shatter. But it took all year, and it did take a bunch of different drops before it did finally break up. I do like having the D brand skins on there because it does give a little bit of extra gripability to the back of the phone and the sides of the phone. It does also protect from the littlest nicks. I'm not that crazy to only go totally naked on the phone, because I'm sure it will, just in regular wear and tear, get burnt, not burnt, but beat up and scratched up and whatnot. So they have here two things going on. They have the front display is using what they're calling Ceramic Shield 2. And unlike previous years where they just said it's a newer, better ceramic shield, it was 3x better than previous years. And so therefore they decided to officially name it the second version of Ceramic Shield, aka Ceramic Shield 2. It's also a much better anti-reflective coating. No, it's not the best in the industry. I have seen other Samsung phones that have a better anti-reflective coating on them, but from the photos that I've seen from other people's testing, it is more anti-reflective than previous generations. I did not get a chance to test that in the last couple hours while I had that. The colors are a bit of a sticking point for some people, and it's actually pretty funny because if you look on X and you're reading through all the people that are talking about and excited about the new iPhone 16, sorry, 17 Pro Max, you have two people. They either hate it or they, oh my god, I love it, give it to me now. When it comes to the burnt orange or pumpkin or whatever the hell it's called, color, cosmic orange is what they called it, and it's orange. I took some pictures of it. It's definitely as orange as it shows in. There you go. Put that up on the screen there. It's definitely as orange as it shows in the advertisements. It's actually even excuse me, a little bit more orange than what you see in the picture here. And that picture was taken on the 17 Pro Max, so you can see a little bit what that looks like. And I'm going to be doing a review video, or finishing my video rather, because I filmed at the Apple Store quite a bit. I'm going to be finishing that and putting it out hopefully later today, so you'll get my actual side by side comparisons of what it looks like, between the two later on. So. Um, Onto the other things. The thoughts that I have on the iPhone Air is it's a very interesting form factor. And I seem to have a hot take on this. I have said that it's going to sell like freaking hotcakes. And I said that from the moment I saw it. Two things on that. One, the iPhone is a status symbol for a lot of people. A lot of people like to have the latest, most beautiful, showy. You put it on, when I take a selfie, even if I'm not taking a selfie, like it's in my hand. Like you look at how people show their phones in public, and they're clearly very proud or trying to reach a stage where people, look up to them because they have something new. It's like keeping up with the Robinsons, right? I don't particularly care about that. Mine is more functional than form. I could put a case on it, make it look like an Android phone. I don't care. Um, but a lot of people buy it just because having the iPhone is the flashy, cool, whatnot. And the Air is stupid thin. Like it looks like it shouldn't be possible to have a phone this thin. And I use the Samsung Edge, I think it was called. And that thing also, same exact thing. I held it in my hand. I was like, there's no way. Like this is gonna get destroyed. And I actually haven't seen really any coverage about the Edge since then. And I held it at IO in May. There was another tech reviewer that had it on hand, and it felt really good in the hand, and it felt really natural to have a phone that was that thin. And here Apple comes out swinging with the Air, and I held it today, and it is that thin, and it is fantastic, and it feels great. Now, from a performance standpoint, it's probably going to be pretty weak. It's not that great. The battery life is half of what you get, I think, with a Pro Max. So if those are concerns of yours, then you're not going to want that. But a lot of people only go out of their house for a couple hours a day, or they bring a battery pack with them, or they charge it in their car, or at their workplace, or whatever it is, and they want to have the super duper thin phone. Also, for those who care about aesthetics of the way that it looks when you have it in your pocket, and especially if you wear form fitted clothing, you're going to definitely want to get the thinnest possible phone, and that is in this case the Air, or the thinnest possible iPhone, because yes, technically there are other phones that are thinner. That being said, the other side of this is that Apple is clearly practicing, in my opinion, practicing for a foldable. There's no way Apple is not working on a foldable. We've heard lots of reports and leaks from inside of Apple that they have been working on a foldable. Of course, they have designs. Whether or not they plan to start making it yet is a whole different ballgame. Apple usually plans 3 years out, so that means right now that they're working on the iPhone 20. And there's definitely going to be a foldable in there. I am pretty confident in that because as somebody who's used other foldables, and I have the Pixel 9 Pro Fold, and I ordered the 10 Pro Fold, and we talked about this on last week's show. I really enjoy the foldable experience, and you get to have basically a near tablet experience when you're carrying around something that is a candy bar shaped form factor, as are similar to the existing traditional iPhones. And what they've done with this, as I mentioned last week, is that they have put all of the internals in the camera bump, aka the plateau. Um, with the exception of the battery and obviously microphone and a couple of other things, but all of the actual circuitry seems to be up the in the plateau, which is very, very impressive. But the fact of the matter is that if they can spread it all or fit it all into a tiny space there, and it's like half the size of the one that is or a third or two-thirds of the size of the one that's on the Pro Max, if they can fit all the tech in there, then they certainly can afford to make a phone that has that times two spread across two candy bar style phones. And in addition to that, you know, the battery thing is always an issue, but foldables, because of their form factor, already have a little bit of a battery issue. So if Apple can basically fit the electronics in the way that they've done with the Air now, and then you just have both sides are basically battery and some more cameras or whatever, you are going to have a pretty solid, powerful phone. And then the last piece on that, and I'm saying this in my review as well, but Jerry Rig Everything, Zach over there, who likes to destroy phones and devices of all kinds and is very, very good at it and scientific about it. His video isn't out yet. He just got his phone, and I'm sure he's right now, as we talk, taking all of his tools to it and destroying the hell out of it. But from the early tests that I've seen or that I've heard, when people try to bend the iPhone Air, both at Apple and independently from stuff that I've seen online of people doing their tests, it will flex a little bit, but then it bends back. And that is incredible because this phone feels like it should snap. The iPhone 6, we had bend gate for a reason. People sat on them, they snapped. Excuse me. This was a real problem for the iPhone 6, and Apple likes to forget that that was a thing. But this form factor, you're going to need that kind of strength if you're going to have a really solid, reliable foldable. And I firmly believe the way that Apple puts out devices, they generally don't put devices out until they're ready, and they're not going to do that on the foldable until it's ready, and they're certain that it can be waterproof enough to withstand people from being people, from living life, as well as strong enough for the exact same reason. So that's the stuff on the iPhones, and I'm going to leave that there. Let's move on to the AirPods. I have here the brand new AirPods Pro 3. They are actually slightly bigger than the previous Pro 2s, and the it's only really noticeable in the fact that it's not that they're bigger, it's that the bulb design, and I'm not going to actually take them out of the case because they are paired with my computer, and I'm worried that it's going to switch my microphone to the AirPods. Um, Let me know if you want me to do a review on these as well. And it's not showing up so well on the camera in this lighting. So I'll take some pictures and videos and put them up on Twitter or X if you prefer. Make sure you follow me over there, Mr. J Nolan, and I'll put some more info on these. But here's the reason why I bought these. I wear AirPods pretty much all day, every day, except for Sabbath, obviously, as I mentioned, or Sundays, every weekday. When I'm at my desk, I'm working. There's other people in the house, or if I'm out, and we've talked about this before on the show, that I work from waiting rooms a lot of times from on the road. I was actually in Utah this week. I'll get to that in a minute. Um, and for me, it's really important to be able to drown out the noise because one of the places that I work is in a waiting room and it's a physical therapy center. And there are often babies and disabled folks that are there. And they make a lot of noise. I don't know if you ever heard babies crying, but they're pretty loud. And so having twice the ANC, twice the noise cancellation on a pair of AirPods that live in my pocket, yes, please. And so I ordered them. The other big thing that is in my very limited testing because these only just arrived is there's new ear tips. And so the ear tips have your similar silicone feel to them, but the end of it, the tip of it is foam actually. And so if you've ever been to a shooting range or worn earplugs to a concert, you squeeze them, pretty tiny, and then you put them in your ear and it expands to fill the space, and that gets rid of most of the sound. And that's what they have done here. And so those two features working together are able to significantly improve the noise cancellation, but also supposedly the comfort because of the way that it grips on the inside of your ear so that they'll fall out less when you're doing active sports or things like that. I obviously haven't had a real chance to test them because they just got here and I was able to listen to them for a little while. They sound great. They're excellent. Air quality in AirPods generally tends air quality. Try again. Sound quality in AirPods generally tends to be fantastic. So Let me jump over the comments here. I don't know how to pronounce this. Grgur. Gurger. Gregory? I don't know. Says, hey, I could currently have the iPhone 14 Pro Max, deciding if I should go for the 17 Pro Max or the 16 Pro Max. My most important thing is battery life. Do you think there is a massive difference between the 16 versus the 17? Okay, so I, because I've only had it for a couple hours, have not had a chance to properly test this. However, on paper, the new iPhone 17 Pro Max has the largest battery that they've ever put in an iPhone. It is rated at 5,088 wow, I can't talk milliamps, 5,088 milliamps. And that's important, like, because we used to carry around batteries, external batteries that we would plug into our phones, and 5,000 used to be a lot. Now it is the entirety of the battery that fits in here. For comparison, if I'm not mistaken, the iPad Pro, which is a monster battery, is twice that. It's 10,000. The on paper, the battery life should be fantastic. They're claiming up to 39 hours of video playback. There's some independent tests that I've seen that are saying that they can make it through a very heavy use day with over 20% charge remaining. Um, that being said, video playback is a finicky metric because video playback is one of the most efficient things we've got at doing, or we've gotten to be able to do on phones in the last decade. And so that number getting really up there maybe isn't the best metric. Maybe we should say X amount of time recording a video, and that's a metric, or X amount of time running an AI model. Why not? On device models are here. And maybe that's a better metric for battery life. But from what I'm seeing, just in the numbers alone, it should be more capable and more powerful and should last longer. Also, another thing to take into account, if you're going to get a used 16 Pro Max, you're not necessarily going to have a brand new pristine battery. Yes, you could get those replaced, but let's see, the battery on my phone from a year now. Let's see what my battery health is at over here. Battery health is normal. Maximum capacity 94%. That's 330 charge cycles, and I took it off I first used it in September 2024. It was manufactured in August 2024. So keep in mind that if you are buying a new one, the batteries are still likely manufactured in the last year or so. It's not that much of a difference, but as phones do tend to get older, those their ability to carry a charge does go down. Like I said, you can replace the battery, but you still have that caveat, and it's smaller. So if the new phone requires more power, the bigger battery is going to enable that. Um, and it's only going to be real tests from the reviews that are going to come out in the next couple of days. Ask me next week on next week's show, and hopefully I'll have a better idea for you, because I'm going to spend the rest of today testing it. I haven't even transferred my phone over to the new phone. My number, everything is still on my old phone. I just set this up enough to be able to get the camera and the features of the operating system working, so that, well, I could get my super slick tabGeeks iPhone wallpaper in there, which you can see on the screen there, and do some video on the test there, and test that out. Now, after this, I'm going to go and fully get into testing all of it, getting into putting all my data on it. I am actually doing something interesting this year. In the past, I normally just back up to iCloud or back up to my computer and restore that backup onto the new device, and Bob's your uncle. On both my MacBook Pro and my iPhone this year, well, actually, I'm not getting a new MacBook Pro this year. I'm going to wait until the next major generation because mine is still good. But each year, it takes all of the crap and extra files, system files, quote unquote, because we don't know what those are. Apple doesn't tell us, and just moves all of that crap onto the new device. And I'm sick of having I could look at the storage usage on my device right now on my iPhone 16 Pro Max. Let's go into iPhone storage and let's let it do its thing. It's going to count all of those things, and I guarantee you it's going to be a ton. Here we go. System data is 30 gigabytes of a 256 gig phone. iOS takes up 20, and system data takes up over 30. Okay, on a brand new 17 Pro, open, unlock. Come on. The storage on here, iPhone storage, is system data is 4 gig. Okay, so that's 26 gig of extra crap that I've been carrying around from all previous iPhones. So what I'm doing this year is I'm not going to restore from backup. I'm going to migrate and transfer my phone number. I'm going to try and sync my settings, And that's about it. Any photos I want to keep, I'll move them over through AirDrop. Any apps that I want to keep, I'm going to re-download and make sure that I don't wipe my old phone before logging in and checking that my two-factor authentication codes all work and that Google's happy that it's a new device and that it's my device and I'm the one logging in. All that jazz. I'm going to wait a couple of days just to make sure that all of that is taken care of, because I have seen people run up against that in the past, and it's pretty bad. So you don't want to do that. All right. So I've talked for a very long time now about the iPhones and the AirPods. The other phones that are out there, they're also great, right? The iPhone 17 and the iPhone Air they're iPhones. They're fantastic. They feel great. I think that the best bang for your buck this year is just going to be the regular iPhone 17, especially because the screen has been vastly updated to full ProMotion. I think it's the first Pro titled feature that is coming to a non-pro phone, and the ProMotion screens are gorgeous. So remember that point I was making before about screens getting so good you can hardly notice. This will be a bump. You're going to look at this and you go, oh wow, that's a nice one. This will look like the higher quality phones. I guess Apple has gotten so good at screens that they're feeling comfortable enough to put that on their base level phone. So the only other thing that I didn't talk about is Apple's chip strategy, and I could do a whole hour just on that. But suffice it to say, Apple has gotten really good at making their own chips, obviously for processing power. But now they've been moving into communications, and so there's the C1 chip. I think is in the iPhone Air. That's their custom modem. They have been using Qualcomm for many years, but this is their cellular modem. I think there's a new version of that. And then they also have what's called the N1, which is their new chip that combines Bluetooth and Wi-Fi and Thread and Matter and all those other radios that they want to put in your phone that don't technically do the connectivity, cellular and Wi-Fi. All those are going to go into that chip as well. So that's enough of talking about Apple. I've probably lost half the audience because the other half of the audience has come here to talk about Ubiquiti. So let me bring up the Ubiquiti website over here. Ubiquiti surprised us with this one a little bit. Um, whoops. Ubiquiti dropped a whole bunch of new NASs, UNAS, the network attached storage, which I have one of them in the rack over here. I have the original one. I do have these ones coming. I don't know exactly which one I'm going to get, but I know that they are en route, and I will, of course, be unboxing them. And I will do reviews on each of them and show them off individually. And probably by next week's stream, I'll have some stuff to show you. So make sure that you don't miss that. And actually, I have to double check that I can do. No, this is my phone. And double check the calendar, make sure I can do a Friday stream next week because this month rather, is a minefield as far as Jewish holidays go, where I'm going to be offline for several days almost each week because it's our high holiday season. So, but no, next Friday should be good. So we'll do a live show again, probably around 1 o'clock. I don't see anything on the calendar there preventing me from doing it at my new normal time. But let me share my screen here and I can start to show you some of the Ubiquiti stuff that they rolled out. So um, let's get this shared so that you can see what I see. And we'll start off with the UNAS 2. Sorry, UNAS 2. And this is not an Airport Express. It looks like the old Apple Wi-Fi Airport Express that they had many years ago. And fun fact, actually, for those of you who may not know this, the founder and CEO of Ubiquiti, whose name is oh wow, blanking on his name now. Founder of Ubiquiti. What's his first name? Robert Para, also owner of the Grizzlies, and pretty cool dude, youngest billionaire, I think. Anyway, he worked on the Airport Express team. He worked on the Apple Wi-Fi airport team, if I'm not mistaken, over at Apple before he left and he started Ubiquiti. And Apple was basically saying, "Yeah, we don't want to do this anymore," and he still wanted to work on it, and he's still doing it. So good for him. And he's got an incredibly successful company that we all love. So. Um, I gotta feel that there's some design language that came from that though in this, and some of their other products as well, obviously. But this just looks like a larger Airport Extreme with a screen in it, and it also even has a hard drive in it. Which, if I'm not mistaken, they had a console that did this years ago as part of the Airport project, a time machine drive where you could back up wirelessly all your stuff to it. So I digress. This is a $200 device. This is going to hold. Two hard drives, two 3.5-inch spinning hard drives. It's got a 2.5 gigabit NIC in there as well as USB-C connectivity, and it is powered by a single PoE++ Ethernet cable. And if you don't have a PoE plus plus switch, such as the XG that I have sitting here on my desk, they actually include a PoE plus plus adapter, 60-watt adapter. So that's really like for the money, that is phenomenal. Now the drives aren't included. You still have to buy the drives, and depending on which drives you want to buy, that could get pricey. The 8 terabytes are well. Let's take a look. What does Ubiquiti charge for theirs? Actually, accessories. Um, I'm just gonna search for it. Hard drive. So Ubiquiti charges seal results for their hard drives. The 1 terabyte is $48. The 8 terabyte is $250. Not bad. The 16 terabyte is $350, and the 24 terabyte, which is a monster amount of space, is $500. So if you wanted to spend an extra $1,000 on a crap load of storage, that's more than I have here for the entire studio. Go for it. You have that availability or that capability there. But this just looks awesome. And of course, it runs Unified Drive, and that's been it started out as a great app, and it's been continuously getting more features and more built out development. And I'm pretty excited about the future of this as a platform. No, it does not run some of the other applications that Synology or some of the other manufacturers make. It's just drive storage, just file storage. And it does file storage very well. It even gives you the ability to have shareable links so that you're able to share files out to other folks, and it pulls the file directly over the internet from your device. So it is still kept local. All your files are local. They're not uploaded to the cloud. You can back them up to the cloud if you want to, but um, that's something that I guess I can show you later on. The black one looks really sleek. I like the black one. I don't think they're going to send me that one because I usually get the white stuff, but the black one is very nice. The dimensions of this is 120. Actually, it doesn't tell me how tall it is. Huh. That's funny. Just looking through on the website here, the different pictures. Man, that black one really is sleek. Oh, even the drive tray inside is black. It's an all black enclosure. Oh, well done, Ubiquiti. That is some nice design. It's 223 millimeters tall, and it is 135 millimeters deep and 129 millimeters wide. And again, it's powered by that single Ethernet PoE plus plus Ethernet cord. So, big fan of what they're doing there. Let's take it up a notch and go to the UNAS 4, which I imagine is a bit of beefier boy because this not only has not only has two, but has four drives in it. And the UNAS 2 does not have NVMe, right? Right. The UNAS 4 introduces the ability to also have M.2 NVMe drive slots. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe it uses the existing sled that you have. That's my guess. It looks like it is. I actually have this on my desk. The existing hard drive sled that they had with the brain, forgetting the names on these now. The UCG fiber, I think. And there was one other that used this. Um, so basically, Ubiquiti sells this one is 512. It's an SSD. Obviously, when you're doing file storage, it's not that big. However, I understand from these that you're going to be able to use this for buffer, which is fantastic because if I'm trying to move terabytes of information across the network, I'm going to be able to dump it into these SSDs and then move it into the drives themselves. Now, I haven't had a chance to test these, so I'm not exactly sure how that works, but it is, I think, what I saw. Don't quote me on this, and Ubiquiti don't yell at me if I got this wrong. But I'm pretty sure that I saw that was a feature that you're going to be able to do. This one requires a 90-watt power supply because it uses more power, obviously. And other than that, pretty much, I think the same. The drives all pull out of the back of the device. And so, like I said, it is a beefier boy over there. And as you can see here on the picture, oh, they even include the Ethernet cable. That's nice of them. You do get a 90-watt PoE injector over here as well. Now we can crank it up to the UNAS Pro 4 and the UNAS Pro 8. Notice the UNAS Pro is still visible here. It is still available for sale. It is $500. But the UNAS 4, which is still the desktop size one, is $379 and is shipping in Q4 of 2025. And I forgot to mention the UNAS 2 is already available for purchase. So if you do purchase any of these, I would get a small commission. So I'd appreciate it if you use my affiliate link, which is on every Ubiquiti video that I have. The link itself doesn't matter directly to the product. As long as you click it, it'll have my cookie, and then I'll get a small commission, which helps support the channel. So I appreciate it any and every time that you do that, because this is not a cheap hobby. I hope that I'm helpful to you. Okay, so let's talk about the UNAS Pro 4. This is your classic rack-mounted 4 drives. It has a status LED on the front instead of the actual LCD screen, similar to, I believe, the NVR. It looks just like the NVR. It's got the 4 drives on the front. However, on the back, you've got the new M.2 NVMe bays, as well as the SFP ports. I think are on the on the existing, or is it the NS Pro? Yeah, the SFP and the Ethernet NICs are on the front versus this, where they are on the back. That makes sense because there's no room to put them on the front, because the what do you call it? The drives take up all of the space, and then you of course also have the DC power backup, which requires their specific power backup cable and the power backup appliance. So you will need that in order to use this. This is sizing; it's rack mounted, so it's going to fit in your rack there. Um, this is a very solid device, and I might be getting one of these. I'm not sure which one they're sending me exactly. And then the UNAS Pro 8 is this times two. It takes the UNAS Pro, which had the 7 drives on the front and no M.2.5 SSD capabilities, and adds that to a uh, really beautifully designed chassis over here. You have the 4 and the 4, so you've got the 8 drives total. Still no LCD on the front, just the status LED. And on the back of it, you have a swappable power supply, which is pretty sweet. You have the M.2 NVMe bays on there, and then you have your 10 gigabit NIC and dual 10 gig SFP ports. And quite frankly, I'm gonna have to do a test on these again, because I think that I should be able to edit locally over the network on a 10 gig network to Final Cut Pro. Now, Final Cut Pro is pretty freaking finicky when it comes to editing any footage that is not on your computer. So we'll see how that works. But I have seen other people getting it to work, so I will have to give that a shot. Again, the UNS Pro is $799, which is still a steal for what you're getting off of here, and shipping October 2025. And you've got the nice, beautiful pictures of this thing being mounted in the rack. This does look like a full-size rack, which means that this is even more of a beefy boy. Dimensions on this are 480 millimeters long, compared to the UNES Pro, which is 400 millimeters long. Sorry, that's the Pro 4. And then the UNES Pro is 325 millimeters. So if you're replacing the UNES Pro with a UNES Pro 4 or 8, keep in mind that those are both going to be bigger than the last and will require a deeper rack. So if you have one of those super narrow racks, you might be in trouble, or you might want to go from one of these more desktop based interfaces. I love that they've done this. I have wanted to have an NAS from Ubiquiti for basically forever, ever since I saw the UMVR, which has the hard drives lined up and the capability, or you would think the capability, to store files on it or run the drive application. They are separate appliances though, and that's how Ubiquiti came out with them. I don't know if there's any. I doubt that there's any thought of allowing it to run both. I think that these are pretty beefy applications, and Ubiquiti probably is happy having two separate appliances that are optimized for those use cases. That being said, the chassis look almost identical, almost. Um, these are really, really powerful devices, and I look forward to getting these in the studio and testing them out. That's pretty much it, I think, for what Ubiquiti announced recently. Do I have anything else? The UMVR Instant Kit is out. Oh, the G6 Pro 360 is now available for sale, and I do have one of these on the way. So I will be getting a hold of this and doing a review on it. I want the 180 really bad. This thing looks really solid and awesome, and I have a perfect place to test this, because, as I mentioned in talking about my G6 PTZ testing, my the side of my house is on a busy street, and I want to be able to see both directions. And instead of getting two cameras back to back, I can have one of these, pop it in the middle, and be able to see the entire area. I am still working on my G6 review. I apologize for not getting that out this week. I wanted to, however, I was in Utah for all of this week, pretty much. And the reason for that is because my wife went to the Entrada conference. Entrada is a big property management ERP, and they are huge. I mean, they're not Google, but they're pretty big, and they throw on one hell of a conference. And so whenever my wife goes to those, I like to tag along as arm candy because they put on good parties. We had karaoke with James Corden and Gronk. They had Tom Brady speak. I missed that one because I didn't have an official ticket. I was just a add on. And then we had what's his name? Who the hell did their concert? I'm blanking on his name now. I forget. That's also another reason why I'm exhausted here is because we were away all week partying, partying pretty hard. This was out in Utah and in Salt Lake City, and there's a really cool venue where they had the concert called the Gateway, and it's actually a train station from the Union Pacific Railroad from way back in the days, National Historic, etc. Um, and let me see if I have the there you go. Anybody know who that is? You even hear that through the mic? Probably. So anyway, so um, that was a good show, and we enjoyed tremendously. But because of that, I am a little bit tired, and that's pretty much what I got to say here. Um, oh, the sorry, blanking on this. I must be falling asleep. It's coffee time. Andy Grammer is the person who sang those songs and played for us, and it was pretty cool because it was a tiny venue, and there was like I don't know 200 of us there in the room with him, and he performed, and that was a lot of fun. So I'm gonna wrap this up here. We've been doing this for 51 minutes. It's about time. So please drop questions and comments down below, or hit me up on Twitter. I'm always happy to chat, and we'll see what wonderful goodies Ubiquiti sends me this week. I'm sure that there will be more of them, and I'm going to continue my iPhone testing and editing of that review, which will have side-by-side footage and comparisons and whatnot of stuff that I've taken before, and I'm going to go shoot some more now. So have a great week, everybody. Thanks for joining, and for if you didn't join on the stream, but you are listening afterwards, which is a bulk of you actually. So thank you for doing that, and have a great week, and I will see you next week. Why